welcome back to another video of the F1 2021 Driver Crimo with Williams, episode number 4 today for the Canadian Grand Prix. If of course missed the previous video at Baku where the AI couldn't keep it in a straight line, to be honest. I mean, there were 9 front wing changes by the AI. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. Then I recommend going to check that out, and also subscribe to the channel when you're trying to get to 500 subscribers. Really before the end of August, really. So if you have not yet subscribed, then please do. It massively helps me out. But taking a look at some R&D, it's an interesting one because we keep getting discounts on R&D for certain parts, but again, there's certain parts of the R&D, aero and chassis is a massive focus, and I think, you know, this weight redistribution upgrade, it's a major one. Again, I'm not a fan of the UI on this year's game because it doesn't tell, unless you click on it, it doesn't tell you if it's a minor, a major or an ultimate upgrade. But that's going to come in unfortunately in next week's episode. Unfortunately, the rear downforce upgrade failed as well, so that's going to come in time for Thursday's episode, I should say, at the French Grand Prix as well. We haven't really got anything. One thing that I have forgotten to take a look at is driver perks. Now, I did think about going for engine wear, but then I decided we might as well just go for the extra development feedback. We might probably be power mapping is the next one we choose out of that. In terms of the R&D, despite making continued progress, we're still not past us, and we remain the slowest team on the grid. There's not many changes up there. There's a few minor upgrades coming in there for pretty much all the teams above us, up to that small cluster of Aston Martin, Ferrari and McLaren. Aston Martin not really delivering this season, so we'll see what they can do. But moving to Canada then, the track that obviously got cancelled, but we're here anyway because, I mean, the lack of other tracks, and also the fact Canada is actually quite nice to drive. It's one of my favourite tracks to drive, so it's actually where we got our fundamentally last win. But anyway, once again the AI are up to something. They're running out of fuel on their in-lap because they're AI. They obviously do an in-lap. They don't do their return to garage. It's very weird. I know that you and I know that I've run out of fuel, but on F1 2020 with Max Mix, I just say it actually, but there is no Max Mix on this year's game. Excuse me, that's a bit of a tongue twister for me. Anyway, but on to our qualifying lap. Business as usual. P19, only a twat behind us as usual. So we are improving the car, but we obviously want to be a little bit ahead in fighting, closing in that midfield. 3/10 up on our previous best lap as we come into the middle sector, slightly down on Giovinazzi, a bit of understeer through the hairpin. Always, that's a pad thing, I'm afraid, through that corner, not the tyre wear model. Yeah, as I say, I haven't had a Monaco moment really with the tyres. Oh look, we've got another victim. George Russell has run out of fuel again on his in-lap, as he did in Baku. So it's come across the line for us. Actually, it was almost a 4/10 improvement, but it's unfortunately the problem is that we're not fast enough, and as a result of it, even though they're 2x2x2 for the top 8, and then there's a mixture of actually AlphaTauri, Aston Martin, Alpine, AlphaTauri. Yeah, it's a little bit weird. That we're only on the 9th row, 18th on the grid, so you never know, anything can happen in Formula 1. We'll have to see what we can do from the 9th row of the grid. It's time for the race for the Canadian Grand Prix.
We're back once again beside the St. Lawrence River here in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. The event first moved to a variant of this track back in 1978. It was won by none other than Gilles Villeneuve, the first Canadian to ever win his home race, and in whose honour the circuit would be renamed. If you want flat-out racing, you've come to the right place this weekend, as it's full throttle for 59% of this 2.7-mile circuit, peaking at around 210 miles per hour going into the final chicane. But that speed requires discipline, and there are more than a few close walls here just waiting to punish drivers with a heavy right foot. It's race day yet again, and joining me for a chat, Anthony Davidson. And our racers are certainly in for a rough day today. What will you be watching for as they go down into turn one?
Well, the start of the race is always one of the most nerve-wracking parts. You have to hope that everyone is able to get off to a clean start, and this is possibly the trickiest part of the entire race. So many drivers in such a small space, and finding your braking point into turn one as well. It's a testament to the driver's skill that there aren't more incidents.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Ricciardo, Max Verstappen and Perez, Leclerc, Sainz, Gasly and Lance Stroll, Fernando Alonso, Tsunoda, Esteban Ocon and Raikkonen, Mick Schumacher, Giovinazzi, a Williams and George Russell. Mazepin and Sebastian Vettel starts from the back of the grid. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Now that we've got some points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish.
I don't think we'll be getting points. I mean, 17th on the grid would have been 18th. I think the pace is going to probably suffer, but we'll see. I'd love to get into the points. We know we've had good starts from this position in 17th, so we'll see what we can do. 5 laps away, and away we go. Giovinazzi, a slow start for him potentially on those medium tyres, the only one to do so. We're going to dart down the inside of Raikkonen, and I think that's Ocon. Try and go around the outside of Tsunoda. Doesn't quite work. We're going to switch to the inside, get on the grass though. With a little bit of the understeer, we break off, and there's a car upper inside, and I think we make contact with them. It's Raikkonen, I think, actually here. So let's have a look and see. He's got Ocon on his inside, but still, I mean, he should see me. What on earth was that move, Kimi? I mean, all he needs to do is brake. Ocon can brake. I'm turning into the corner. That is the most aggressive AI move I've ever seen, and the worst, as we try and have a look at the Tsunoda again, but getting on the curbing, not able to get the traction, staying P13. But obviously Raikkonen's dropped to the back of the field. He's given us floor damage as well, even though it's not visually visible. There is a little bit of damage to the underside of the floor, I think, so that's going to be slowing us down a little bit as well. So trying to get points is just become more difficult. As we're watching Max Verstappen, he's had a great start from 5th place up to 2nd, ahead of both McLaren cars, which is exactly where he wants to be. He's not had a great season start the season with Mercedes really dominating it, and not a couple of finishes outside the points. You can see here Norris tried to go on the outside. He's going to dive down the inside, and he's made contact with Hamilton. Yes, that was another aggressive move there by the AI. Obviously, I'm not going to speculate on what happened yesterday, but anyway, moving back to our POV, we've had a slide out of the final corner as the rear tyres start to go off. Again, there is a little bit of more understeer, I reckon, which is definitely slowing us down, because Tsunoda's dropped us in 6 laps. We're really starting to struggle now, as Sebastian Vettel now is on the move over his fellow countryman Mick Schumacher and around the outside of the Haas driver, who's been to be fair, has been actually been doing very well to be ahead of the Alfa Romeos. We'll see if Mick can go far in this career mode. Again, another twitch of the rear end coming out the final corner, and Ocon is trying to pounce again, but again we defend the inside into turn 1 and force Ocon out. In actual fact, Vettel is going to capitalise on Ocon. Again, a little bit again, harsh but fair racing there between myself and Ocon, and forces Ocon out and into the pass of Vettel, who just says thank you very much and moves up in another position. But of course Vettel now will be looking to there, and we've lost the back end. Just about managed to caught it, but I think something might have happened to Sebastian Vettel. We'll get a replay on board with Vettel, and we'll go into this tail view. Oh yes, he's lost his front wing. That's my bad, but obviously the new tyre model is very slippery. We're right on board now with Ricciardo. I believe is that one of the McLarens, as Norris has had an engine failure, and I think Ricciardo has front wing damage from his teammates, so that's definitely not good for the McLaren team. One car out and the other car with front wing damage here, as Alonso Tsunoda are coming into the pits. We're coming into the pits the end of lap number 8, so we're going to have 10 laps on the medium tyre. Hamilton came in the lap before. We got the Red Bulls. I think Giovinazzi is going to carry on because he's the only man to start on those medium to compound tyres. But it's a disadvantage for Giovinazzi because the AI coding says you go to hards, which you should say you're in a 25% race, you might as well go to softs. Where we're going to come out in relation to Ocon and using the ERS well to clear Ocon. We're actually going to try, but obviously Ocon is in a much faster Alpine. He's going to have a look all over the back of us, understeer, again through the hairpin. And Ocon has a look at us, but we're able to get the acceleration, use the overtake mode that we've accumulated. But is Ocon going to have DRS? He's definitely going to have DRS as well. So he's going to have a look down the inside. We're going to squeeze him to the inside. We're going to take the racing line, a little bit of corner cutting there with the just the relative understeer here. Again, Ocon has another go at us around the outside of turn 1, and again he is unable to get past. And really, this has just become a fight for P13. Really, I mean, Ricciardo it's actually going to be P12 because I think Giovinazzi's Ocon again has another go. Again, we block him out at before the World Champions and retain what is now P12 because Giovinazzi's in. Speaking of Giovinazzi, confirmation he is on the hard tyres, but he's out. Slammed into the wall. Let's see what happened here. He is out of the race, but this is an AI mistake. Surely, yes. He gets on the curbing, lights up the rear tyres and slams into the wall. Fortunately, no safety car. So, again, the safety car needs still a little bit of work. This time Ocon has a go in the other DRS zone and we have a massive corner cut and get a warning for that. But I mean, there we go. I'm not really interested in it. Jumping to lap 17, Ocon has another go. This time we leave him the inside of the corner and we get a twitch on the exit of the corner. We squeeze Ocon to the wall here. This time we're going to switch it and move from the outside to the inside and to try and retain the position. You can see how much I'm just struggling with the tyres, maybe with a bit of the floor damage as well. Again, not really too sure how much of impact, bearing in mind it's a new damage. So not really sure how much of an impact it is having on my performance, but in the end Ocon gave up. The gap to Tsunoda 15 seconds, and in the end it's a dismal Grand Prix, a Grand Prix where I was looking to get some points potentially, maybe not a few points, maybe like 9th or 10th, but it's P12, so yes, only 5 positions game, which is very annoying and frustrating that we couldn't make it there. Bottas had far control over that. Hamilton did well to recover after a poor start from the lead of the Grand Prix. And in the end, I think he might have got some damage from Verstappen actually, and Verstappen came out to finish third. George he's, I don't know with George, because whenever I think he's getting better, he then starts to struggle with his starts still. So yes, in terms of the drivers' standings, we're still in P. We were dropped to P9. Max Verstappen is the big winner, finishing on the podium, but he's still, well, Hamilton and Bottas are level pegging in the championship now. Constructors is pretty much over because Mercedes are so far in front. We're still holding on for 5th place, but for how much longer? AlphaTauri and Aston Martin coming our way.
Amazing performance out there. I'm sure you're pretty happy with that. Who's your main competition on the grid?
No comment. I don't want a rival because
It's
of what
safe to
happened
say you're
last year's
smashing
game.
everyone's expectations, isn't it?
Well, F1 is a team sport.
Well, here's hoping they're working hard to find some improvements.
We are trying to find some improvements. We can improve by not having Raikkonen crash into us. But to be fair, it isn't the first time Raikkonen has taken me out. So in the career mode episode, those of you remembering from 2018 career mode might remember. GG's for sticking with the channel for that long. But so yes, we've got some R&D points. I'm thinking of this weight reduction upgrade on the engine cover. We've got this unknown upgrade, which is annoying, which is blocking that cable assembly. So we're going to have to wait on the team. Might potentially look at a tyre wear upgrade on the roll dampers as well, because we've got a discount on that. Engine power. ERS is something that I might want to be looking into. Obviously we've got supplier upgrades, but again, if that unlocks ERS, then we might be looking into that as well. We don't really need to worry about fuel as well. Aero as well is something else that I want to do. We've got only 4% off though, so we might work for it in a practice program to get some more R&D stuff off. In terms of parts, I mean, we just take a new one every time we have a bad qualifying. I mean, today we'd have only dropped 3 positions. So, and there are tracks where I know that I can't really make it up, especially if they are as bad as they were on last year's game, like Britain and Hungary. So yes, all of that is to come in the coming weeks. But if you have enjoyed this video, then leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, see plenty more F1 2021 driver career mode and other F1 2021 gameplay coming this week. I can tell you that it will be biblical this week. But until then, the next video, I'll see you next time. Take care, enjoy your day, and goodbye.